My name is Jim Kauahikaua. I work at the UH Geological Survey's Hawaiian Volcano Observatory, but I grew up on Oahu. I went to high school at Kamehameha Schools, went to college in California for 4 years, but I came back to Hawaii for a master's and a PhD. When I was actually in elementary school, I already knew that I wanted to do something in science, and I wanted it to be outdoors. So it wasn't until college that I got exposed to geology, and from the first day in my first geology class, I knew that was the one for me. And while I was growing up, I grew up in Kailua on Oahu. Right across the street was a guy who had a friend who flew a plane over here as a crop duster. He flew a plane on the Big Island. And so, in the 50s, they had an eruption in Puna, and then in '59 they had the Kilauea Iki lava fountains. In 1960 was the Kapoho eruption. And so this guy would come back and he'd bring me rock samples. That was really intriguing. So, I started to think about that. Although at the time when you bought a rock book to see, identify rocks, all the rocks on Oahu were in one picture. They were all volcanic, there's no differentiation. So there wasn't a whole lot available to me to really get to know Hawaiian geology. When I went to college, I learned about geology in general, but when I came back, working at the university really allowed me to focus on learning about Hawaiian geology, Hawaiian volcanology. My uncle lived and worked on Oahu, got the job working in a hotel on this island. And then his second job was actually working over here at the Volcano House. He managed that for several years. And so while I was in college, I got the opportunity to come over here and stay with him. And I started to get to know people at the observatory here. I was sort of ready to go when I got this job. I was originally hired right out of the university with a minority internship grant. And that was a real boon for me, getting into a federal agency right away. I worked for them for a year, and then they thought that I was doing interesting work that they wanted to continue, so they continued to pay me while I came back and got my PhD at Manoa. All of the work here is important, especially for Hawaii, but also for the rest of the world that has to deal with volcanoes. As people move closer and closer to areas that erupt on volcanoes, it's more and more important to have accurate state-of-the-art monitoring of the volcanoes to give people warning. My experience at the university really focused me on Hawaii problems. I was going to do that anyway, and I could have done that at a mainland university, but I also wanted to come back and reestablish my life in Hawaii. And so working at the university, they were already working on and well known for their work on Hawaiian volcanoes, why the Hawaiian Islands are here, what they're doing now, kind of stuff. And at the time, the university, the Hawaii Institute of Geophysics, was making great strides in the exploration of the ocean floor, both around Hawaii and around the Pacific in general. So I developed some good working relationships back then, but also just the interaction with the staff that was working on Hawaiian problems. But the camaraderie was really high back then, which helps. It helps make you feel like what you're learning and what you're doing is important. It was how I made connections to the UH Geological Survey, where I ended up working. But this is what I love to do. I knew I was going to love to do it right from the beginning, and the university greatly helped me do that.